Thank you, Robin. Conference, it is great to be here. One of the problems being a North Antrim MLA is I go to lots of events and people are often disappointed because they find out that I'm the North Antrim MLA and not Robin, and they came for a picture with him, but that's the burden I have to carry. I am very proud to be here as an Ulster Unionist MLA. I think this is an historic party that the people of Northern Ireland owe a great deal to. I think Northern Ireland is a much better place for having the Ulster Unionist Party throughout the depth and dark days of the Troubles, the voice of reasonableness and decency that always stood by the forces of law and order. And I think this country would be in a very different place if it wasn't for the sacrifice, and the hard work and the leadership of the Ulster Unionist Party during the Troubles. But I also think the Ulster Unionist Party has a very bright future. I do think it is the only party that can provide the strategic and strong and secure leadership for Northern Ireland that can actually grow the Union, outthink Sinn Féin, and secure the Union in the long term. I think there's something distinctive about what we offer that can allow us to grow that Unionist base and to outthink Sinn Féin in their long war against the Union. And I would say at the outset, I think it's important to set out why we are Unionists and have confidence in being Unionists. Nationalism always seems to have its tail up, building false momentum, getting favourable coverage in the press. But I think we need to be evangelists for the Union that we hold so dear. The case for the Union is absolutely compelling. We just have to make it, as Lord Eliot and Robin Swan just said. The first duty of a state is to keep its citizens safe and secure, and in that sense, the Union is by far the best place to be. The fifth largest military in the world, member of NATO, permanent member with a veto in the UN Security Council. The umbrella that we live under of our intelligence services and GCHQ. We're defended by air, by land, by sea. We have a continually at sea nuclear deterrent. All those things are vital when we're facing a very changing and threatening world. International crime, terrorism, we've got wars in Europe and the Middle East. And of course, we need to make sure that translates into what young people actually see as a place that's going to be more secure and safe to bring up their children, because they are going to be safer from all those threats online, all kinds of threats from drugs. We had a programme just last month by BBC Panorama. Dara McIntyre exposed that international drug cartels expose the weakness of Ireland to flood Europe with cocaine. The cartels literally bring their consignments of poisonous drugs into Irish waters and then through Ireland, across the border, into the UK and through into Europe. When you hear the radio transmissions of the gangsters, you hear them say, don't go near British waters, stay in Irish waters. The Irish have radios, the British have ships. Now, if we were a united Ireland and we didn't have any of that protection, we would be flooded with organised crime, we'll be a target for international terrorism. We'll be less safe online. That's the message we need to give. We're more prosperous from being in a United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is the fifth largest economy in the world. It can afford to pay that 18 or 19 billion pound subvention. Lord Eliot was quite right. It has a depth in its economy that lets it deal with the shocks of different world events like COVID or like the credit crunch. That is why we were able to give on favourable terms a £3 billion loan to the Irish Republic. You don't hear that very often, by the way, in our media, how benevolent the British were towards the Irish. We have the audacity to sue us over legacy, but we'll come to that later on. And it's because we have that scale and that influence. We can set our own interest rates. We're in the World Bank, the IMF, the G7, the G20. We actually have a cost of living that's far cheaper here than it is across the border. Cost of living is 38% higher in the Republic of Ireland than Northern Ireland. That wipes out any wage increase. The average house price here is 180,000. Down south, it's 325. That's £8,000 more per year in your mortgage. The same packet of chicken costs £5 in Northern Ireland. It's €8 in the Republic of Ireland, because our domestic market is 70 million, theirs is 5. And what we don't hear, of course, is that the utility bills are about £1,500 higher, that the average family of four has to pay £3,000 just to have private health insurance and still pay to see their GP. These are facts we don't hear, nor the fact that the waiting lists in wards and trolleys are going through the roof down south. And of course, we are at peace, largely. We always see things through a glass half empty, but actually Northern Ireland's at the most peaceful it's been in 50 years. The stats are very clear. Shootings, bombings, public disorder is at its lowest in 50 years. Irish republicanism in its violent form is utterly defeated. Defeated by our brave security force members and defeated by the resilience of people like us who stayed Democrats, unlike many who voted for Sinn Féin. And so the only thing that, in my view, as I watch politics from afar and I've seen Sinn Féin operate from within the police, the only thing they can do now is try and hope that Northern Ireland fails, that unionism walks into own goals, and in the meantime try and rewrite the history and legacy. And I believe it's only the Ulster Unionist Party that can defeat those three challenges, because it's smart. It thinks with its head, doesn't get weighed down in ideology, and it has a trust with the people that when it speaks about things, that actually it's not based on some kind of hate, but actually based on facts. And I'll come back to those distinctive things in a second, but I'll just give you my personal view on what I've seen as Stormont from our political opponents in the SDLP, Sinn Féin and Alliance. And I'll start with Sinn Féin. I've actually been deeply unimpressed by Sinn Féin in the Assembly. I presumed they would be this highly efficient, extremely talented team, because they have been a machine and they have played a very effective long war. But what I see in the Assembly is a well-oiled but very mediocre team. Very mediocre. Their speeches are mostly written by Connolly House, it seems. They stand up, they deliver it, they sit down, they can't answer any questions, they don't provide any scrutiny. It's very underwhelming. Now, when the bell goes for a vote, they suddenly flood their benches and they get down very quick. Jerry Kelly's still very light in his toes, I can tell you. But there are a few on the runs in that party, and they've still got it, I have to say. But there's no depth to them. We should not be intimidated by Sinn Féin in any way, shape, or form. We outperform them in the Assembly every day. They're very good at comms, very slick. But in the substance, we are better. And perhaps we can learn a little bit from their PR. The SDLP, nice people. They huff and they puff in opposition, but they never blow the house down. They're pretty ineffective in opposition. If that's their full-time job, we provide far better scrutiny. And we also hold the toughest ministry. I mean, one of the highlights of their opposition was, I think it was about my second day in Stormont. The leader, Matthew Toole, ran in like a Chamberlain, with a paper in his hand. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker. I thought they were going to take out the Education Minister, Mr. Given. And the highlight of their opposition was they pointed out that the minister's official might have used AI to help draft the speech. It was distinctly underwhelming. And of course, their leader, who's an impressive performer at Westminster, Claire Hanna, she is sort of in this Monty Python ministry of silly walks. She's now got the Ministry of Irish Unity, which is not even the Irish want. So I've been deeply unimpressed by the SDLP. As for the Alliance, rumours of my defection to the Alliance Party have been, they're false flag operations, okay? What can I say about the Alliance Party? First of all, can I say the protest outside Naomi Long's home was wrong. None of our homes should be targeted, and I condemn it outright. But the Alliance Party are desperate because they're folding under scrutiny. And it is frankly completely disingenuous to try and link the scrutiny that we're providing in the chamber to the protests happening outside her house. That is to spook us, to stop us providing that scrutiny, and we must not allow that to happen. The answer when democracy is attacked like that is to continue with more democracy and let the police deal with the thugs outside Naomi Long's house. And we will continue with the scrutiny of that party because scrutiny is needed. They are divided. They are desperate, and I think they are drifting towards out-and-out nationalism. Their voters are very good people, but they've been let down by their party. The party is, in my view, incompetent in its ministries. It's let down victims, it's let down farmers. Naomi Long, her leadership of justice has been disastrous. All of the agencies of the criminal justice system have persistent problems that have got worse. The justice system is soft and getting softer. It's slow and getting slower. A culture has emerged where the perpetrator is given more rights than the victim and the innocent members of the public. It was scrutiny from our party that uncovered that our prison officers, years after they do it in England and Wales, where smoking's been banned by prisoners in their cells, have to endure secondhand smoke because Naomi Long's department couldn't take on the prisoners and say, no, that's stopping. It was our scrutiny that has now started a pilot that's going to clean up the lungs of our prison officers. So we do need that scrutiny. And Naomi Long's leadership has been very damaging for the justice system. I mentioned Claire Hanna had a sort of dream ministry, the Ministry of Irish Unity, and Naomi Long has a dream ministry, one that if she could design one for just to live in a land of milk and honey, it would be the Ministry of Operational Independence, where you're answerable to no one, responsible for nothing, and it's always someone else's fault. But that is our opposition, an incompetent and divided alliance party. And I have to say, they did badly let down victims by backing Jerry Kelly's motion, putting the word innocent before innocent victims. And the language on the radio that sent out a message to victims of terrorism, that somehow the victim maker had a reason to do what they did, caused deep, deep harm and distress. And I spoke to victims of terrorism, one who was in her bed in the afternoon, depressed by what she had heard from the Justice Minister. So we were right to call it out. And let me finish by saying why I think the Ulster Unionist Party can offer a completely different future. The risk to the Union, in my view, is that Northern Ireland fails, that Stormont fails. I honestly believe that is what Sinn Féin want. They don't want it to thrive and succeed. That's why Michelle O'Neill couldn't welcome the 1,000 new jobs that are coming from Bank of America. A Northern Ireland that works, evolved government that works, is the nemesis of Sinn Féin. And the Ulster Unionist Party are the unbridled party of devolution. We've never threatened to bring the house down, nor is it our intended aim. And therefore, we are the greatest bulwark against a united Ireland. Because with all the advantages that I outlined for the Union, if you combine that with a Northern Ireland executive that's actually functioning, and yes, it could function a lot better, Irish republicanism has nowhere to go. The second thing is we tend to think with our head as opposed to our heart. I wasn't in politics at the time of Brexit, but I take my hat off to the party for the call they made. It was an own goal. I said earlier in the speech that Sinn Féin are waiting for us to make own goals. It's their only hope. Brexit was an own goal. I wasn't a fan of the European Union. I think it was a bureaucratic juggernaut, ever closer political union. It was tin-eared, wasn't listening to its people, came out with daft rules. But this party weighed it up with its head, not its heart, and said it would be disastrous for the people of Northern Ireland, and it was. And that's the leadership that's needed, in my view, to steer unionism through the pitfalls that lie ahead, pitfalls like leaving the European Convention of Human Rights. I'm not a great fan of the European Convention of Human Rights. I think we have actually a legal system here that protects people better than most other countries. But if we leave, it's another battle with Irish republicanism. It's another battle with our government. It's another potential border in the Irish Sea around rights. The right decision is just to leave that battle and continue to work for Northern Ireland. Thinking with our head, not our hearts, is why we see the danger of Farage, because he's an English nationalist, not a UK unionist. The man who took €70 to say up the Ra. Do we want him leading our country? No. Can we control the outcome of the Westminster election? No. But what we can do is get more Ulster Unionist MLAs in the executive and in Stormont so the Stormont can collapse, because I think what is really a danger to the Union is Farage in number 10 and the Northern Ireland Assembly falling. That would be the most fertile ground possible for Republicans to say, we now need to go down the line of change. And I think education, I just want to briefly say about education. I'm very privileged to be the education spokesman for the party. In line with what I've said there about how we approach things, not ideological, basing them on their facts, using your head, that's the approach I take. We support the minister when he's right, oppose the minister when he's wrong. We're the only party that voted both with the minister and against the minister on amendments to the Affordable School Uniform Bill. Because my only interest and the party's interest was making sure the price of uniforms came down, not getting into the woke gender wars that the Sinn Féin and Alliance wanted to do, to hijack the bill to make it into something that was about something different. It's been the scrutiny of the Ulster Unionist Party that's uncovered that there are 5,000 children every day that rely on taxis to get to school, take a journey that requires up to 3 hours at a cost of £30 million to the taxpayer. So if you have special education needs and you're starting at a disadvantage, instead of levelling up, you're actually further disadvantaged, because the 3 hours you're spending in a taxi is not 3 hours you're spending resting, doing your homework with your family, extracurricular activities. This is this kind of scrutiny that we are bringing. And so I close by saying I genuinely believe, for those reasons, because we're a party that's always been decent, use temperate language, has trust across Northern Ireland, we can grow the Unionist base. I think we have the smartness to stand up to Sinn Féin. And I think our commitment to devolution is more vital than ever because of the risks of Nigel Farage. And what I would just say to everyone here is that if we can all leave thinking what 2 or 3 things we can do to propel the Ulster Unionist Party even further, encouraging someone to join, attending events, sharing our posts on social media, spreading the word that the Ulster Unionist Party is back and in action, encouraging people to vote, offering them a lift at the election. Whatever you can do, all those little things add up. But in summary, I just say this: I believe this party is the one that should lead unionism. It is the best vehicle to secure the union and to make Northern Ireland the best place to live, work, socialise, raise a family, start a business, and the most caring, compassionate place to, yes, get old, become unwell. And that's why I'm proud to be a unionist, proud to be an Ulster Unionist, and it was a privilege to talk to you today. Thank you.